Hello from Mashpee Middle High School, located in beautiful Mashpee, Massachusetts. My name is Grace, and I will be reading today's Provincetown banner. As a part of the Audible Local Ledger's High School Student Community Service Program, Seniors Read to Seniors. For over 30 years, the Ledger has delivered information and entertainment to people who are blind or print impaired who live on the Cape, the islands, and the South Coast, many confronting disabilities such as low vision, blindness, or neurological disorders. Mashpee Middle High School is proud to assist in connecting these listeners with the outside world. Now on with today's Provincetown banner, dated Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. Our first headline from the front page: Brewster woman critically injured on bike trail is home from hospital. This was published by Zane Razak. Brewster. Hiker and retired nurse Lynn Forrester was accustomed to thinking the Cape Cod Rail Trail is a safe place to stay in shape until an e-bike rider collided with her in September, leaving her mostly blind in one eye and believing better laws and enforcement could have prevented the crash. Forrester and her husband, Gary, are avid hikers, once embarking on a 200-plus mile trek 10 years ago in England. To stay in shape for hiking, she would take to the rail trail, walking 5 miles most mornings, while her husband preferred the woods. "It's also my time to be alone," she said during an interview at her Brewster home. "I always thought the rail trail was safer than tripping over roots." Around 10:30 a.m. on September 10th, though Forrester was halfway through her walk near mile 5.6 around 522 Pleasant Lake Avenue in Harwich, she was headed back home when a female bicyclist on an e-bike suddenly collided into her from behind. The bicyclist was riding with a group when she heard someone say, "Oh, look at the water," referring to Long Pond, according to a Harwich Police Department report. The bicyclist looked to her right briefly, then struck Forrester. The bicyclist told police she never saw Forrester before the crash. Forrester's head slammed the ground as the handlebars of the e-bike went into her left eye. Forrester said she was conscious for about 10 minutes after the collision. Harwich Fire Department rescuers used specialized tools to remove the handlebars from the bike before trimming the handlebars down, leaving a small part still attached to Forrester, according to the police report. An ambulance then brought her to Cape Cod Regional Technical High School, where she was transferred to a med-flight helicopter that took her to Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. Recovering from the e-bike collision. Doctors have told Forrester that she has lost sight in that eye. She said she's not 100% sure that that's totally true, saying she's seen some light. Forrester also suffered facial and skull fractures as well as subarachnoid bleeds. She said part of her head is still numb. Forrester spent 24 days in the hospital and has now been home for 2 weeks. After being in bed for nearly a month, she said she struggled to stand and had to hold on to something to remain steady. Almost every day she goes to the Spaulding Outpatient Center in Orleans for physical, occupational, and speech therapy. She walks around Drummer Boy Path using walking poles to gain strength. "It's just getting stronger every day," said Forrester. "Every day it's a little bit better." Her daughter recently visited for 2 nights, and her son, who lives in England, was home for a month to help. "We've had a great family support. It's a little different because it's never been that way. I've always been taking care of everybody, so it's kind of a flip-flop," said Forrester. "But right now, my calendar, it's just every day is doctor's appointments or therapy." Forrester also praised the first responders, saying she plans to meet with Harwich firefighters soon to thank them. Her values and personality are still completely intact, said her husband. As soon as she was waking up, you could see every day interacting with family members that this was Lynn, and it made it easy to know that she was going to be there for herself and for us, said Gary Forrester. As her body got stronger, she really got quite good in terms of preservation of her personality and her thinking. She's fine the way she is, that's for sure. I'm sure she will recover more. E-bikes on the rail trail. Harwich police have told the family that criminal charges will not be filed against the bicyclist, said Gary Forrester, saying witnesses said it appeared speed was not a factor and that the e-bike was the level allowed on the Cape Cod Rail Trail. The State Department of Conservation and Recreation operates the paved 25-mile trail, which runs from South Yarmouth to South Wellfleet. The use of Class 1 e-bikes is allowed on improved trails of an appropriate width, including the Cape Cod Rail Trail, according to the State Department of Recreation and Conservation official. A Class 1 e-bike is a pedal assist bike that only provides assistance when the bicyclist is pedaling. A Class 2 e-bike has a throttle, which gives riders a motor boost without pedaling and has a maximum assisted speed of 20 miles per hour. E-bikes have become more popular within the last 5 years. Supporters of e-bikes say it's environmentally friendly and accessible choice that can ease traffic congestion and be a helpful option for those with physical limitations. The maximum speed on the rail trail is 15 miles per hour, according to the department. E-bikes banned on the rail trail? Lynn Forrester wants to see the speed limit enforced on the rail trail and e-bikes banned altogether, saying she's decided to make that my mission. Like motorcycles, e-bikes should be on the road, she said. I don't want to be vindictive. I'm just not that type of person, but I just think this is the time. They're just coming on to the roads and they're increasing exponentially, said Forrester. The State Department of Conservation and Recreation previously told the Times it is working to implement speed boards on most of the agency's shared use paths to remind users to be aware of their speed and slow down. This was done on the 4.1-mile Southwest Corridor Park in Boston, and the department saw positive results. I thank my faith, I thank my family, and I accept this is what's happened to me. I just have to adjust. I got to go through therapy and figure out how to see with one eye. We have to just kind of take it one day at a time, she says. Our next headline is National Seashore, a Major Economic Engine. This was published by Dennis Coffey. Beachgoers brought their sun-seeking selves and wallets to the Cape Cod National Seashore in 2024. But according to a recent report from the National Park Service, many of the 3.8 million visits included more than just basking in the sun. Visitors spent $598 million in the communities around the seashore and had a total economic impact of $754 million, an increase from 2023, according to a press release from Lindsay French, Visual Information Specialist at the Cape Cod National Seashore. David Bernstein, president of Friends of the Cape Cod National Seashore, said it is among the top 25 most popular national parks in the nation. Money isn't just being spent between Chatham and P-Town. It's being spent all over the Cape, he said in an October 13th interview. Businesses make money because people are coming to Cape Cod, and more specifically to the National Seashore. It's so unique, so different, and people are stunned at how it looks. It's so beautiful. The seashore has a long history of being a magnet for tourists and residents alike. A 2023 report listed 3.8 million visits to the Cape Cod National Seashore with $533 million in spending. The cumulative economic benefit of that spending was $730 million on area business such as restaurants, grocery stores, hotels, and motels, according to the report. In 2022, the National Park Service report estimated that 4 million visits were made to the Cape Cod National Seashore, with $548 million in contributions to the local economy. Tourism is a critical driver to the local economy, and we're proud to help bring in 5,385 jobs and $754 million in economic output to communities. Within 60 miles of the park, Superintendent Jennifer Flynn wrote in a statement released in September 26. The National Park Service Report 2024 National Park Visitor Spending Affects States. $29 billion was spent in communities near national parks. The lodging and restaurant sectors recorded the largest economic outputs at $11.1 billion and $5.7 billion, respectively. French wasn't available for comment on October 13th due to the federal government shutdown. Bernstein said the government shutdown won't impact visitors' access to the seashore. The park's beaches and walking and biking trails are open year-round. There are no gates. More information is available on the NPS website, including visitor spending, labor income, and total economic contributions for national, state, and local economies. Our next headline reads, Sandy Neck Beach Parking Closed, Trails Open. This was published by Heather McCarran. West Barnstable. Work on Barnstable's largest coastline protection project has kicked into high gear, bringing more access restrictions while moving closer to the goal of stemming long-term erosion, dune loss, and flooding. As of October 14th, both the upper and lower parking lots at Sandy Neck Beach Park, a 6-mile barrier beach and marsh that is the town's only publicly accessible shoreline on Cape Cod Bay, are closed as crews from Robert B. are get to work, according to the Barnstable Department of Public Works. Very limited parking is available near the gatehouse, but public access past the off-road vehicle trail is closed both to vehicles and pedestrians. The limited access is expected to continue in phases through May. Gatehouse staff on October 15th said visitors wanting to access the beach can take the Great Marsh Trail that has an access point near the gatehouse, or walk along the ORV access road. The Marsh Trail winds through the maritime forest and dunes for about 3/4 of a mile before reaching the beach, while the ORV access is shorter at about 1/4 of a mile. The ORV trail will remain open for off-road visitors until November 11th. A town public works advisory urges visitors to plan accordingly and notes that staff will be present to assist. Updated signs will let visitors know where to go as the project progresses. The closures mark the latest milestone in this $6.6 million Sandy Neck Beach long-term coastal resiliency project, an initiative that broke ground on September 26th. The plan calls for relocating vulnerable infrastructure, rebuilding storm-damaged dunes, and extending as well as safeguarding public access to Sandy Neck. Project completion is targeted ahead of the 2026 summer season, with plans to work around nesting periods for protected bird species that rely on the beach to breed and to rest during migration. The need for the project has been years in the making. Since 2013, repeated storms have battered the beach's fragile dune systems, especially exposing the lower parking lot to such frequent flooding that staff began referring to as Lake Sandy Neck. For more than 10 years, the town has been wrestled with erosion, flooding, and storm damage, at the 1,438-acre park. The town noted in its initial project overview. Designated as an area of critical environmental concern, the park has dunes, salt marsh, and maritime forest, as well as habitats for threatened species such as piping plovers and diamondback terrapins. It is a favorite spot for year-round dog walking and beachcombing and offers recreation from swimming and hiking to shell fishing, horseback riding, off-road vehicle excursions, and camping. As a part of the work, the lower parking lot will be shifted 60 feet inland and redesigned to include a central rain garden. The front dune will be fortified with additional sand and seagrass, while a new protective dune will be built on the southern edge of the lot to buffer nearby neighborhoods and improve stability. The project also involves relocating the flood-prone gatehouse to higher ground, expanding the off-road vehicle area, and building a new Americans with Disability Act accessible observation deck. A revised traffic layout with a dedicated outbound lane and new parking spaces is planned to improve visitor access long-term, a primary goal according to Barnstable Director of Natural Resources and Park Manager Nina Coleman. Notably, the bathhouse, located beyond the projected 50-year dune loss area, will stay intact. Coleman has emphasized that the project is designed to ensure the beach can weather more extreme conditions in the future, so that 50 years from now the parking lot will withstand a 100-year storm. Updated project information is available online at Sandy Neck Project. Questions or requests for notifications can be directed to Kelly Colopy at the Barnstable DPW. Our next headline reads, Man rescued from high seas after falling off ferry to Martha's Vineyard. It's published by Suzanne Vaughn. A man who fell off a ferry headed to Martha's Vineyard from Woods Hole during the nor'easter Monday afternoon treaded water for more than an hour and a half before being rescued by a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter. The man survived 6 to 7 foot seas, 1 to 2 miles of visibility, 30-knot winds, and had symptoms of hypothermia, but was in a stable condition when taken to Falmouth Hospital, a Coast Guard spokesman said on Tuesday morning, October 14th. The helicopter brought the man to Joint Base Cape Cod, where he was taken by an ambulance to the hospital. The crew of the Island Home ferry, headed for Woods Hole, spotted the man in the water 1 mile south of Nobska Light, but lost sight of him after turning around to recover him, the Coast Guard reported. It was amazing that the ferry saw him, Quinn LeCain, Coast Guard spokesman, said Tuesday morning. The Coast Guard did not disclose the man's name. LeCain said the man's identity and where he had fallen from was confirmed by CCTV footage on the ferry Nantucket that had left Woods Hole at 2:30 p.m. The video footage showed the man boarding the ferry and confirmed his identity from his baggage, LeCain said. A boat from Coast Guard Stations Woods Hole, a helicopter from Air Station Cape Cod, and responders from Falmouth Fire Department and Massachusetts Environmental Police were launched and conducted searches on scene. The helicopter spotted the man, deployed a rescue swimmer, and hoisted the man to the aircraft, report said. Surviving those conditions can be very difficult. We are fortunate to have located the individual in time to rescue and transport to a higher level of care, stated Petty Officer Trey Flum, the USCG Operations Specialist responsible for communicating with responding assets. The Coast Guard has closed the case. Falmouth Fire and Rescue had its marine vehicles in the water during the rescue, but was not involved in transporting the man, Fire Chief Timothy Smith said Tuesday. The Falmouth Police Department is in charge of the investigation, but could not be reached for comment Tuesday. Keeping a sharp lookout at sea saves lives, the Coast Guard press release said. In the event of maritime emergency, contact Sector Southeastern New England at 866-819-9128 or via VHF Channel 16. Our next headline is WHOI helps launch marine robot on mission to explore every ocean. This was published by Heather McCarran. Woods Hole. Over the holiday weekend, an underwater robot slipped into the Atlantic on what is set to be the longest unmanned glider mission in history. A pioneering moment, some liken to the first flight to the moon. The vehicle, named Red Wing, was launched on October 11th, following a send-off from the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution's dock on October 10th, and will attempt to circumnavigate the globe over the next 4 years and 92 days, starting and ending in the waters off Cape Cod. Made by Florida-based Teledyne Marine in cooperation with Rutgers University, Red Wing represents a giant leap forward in the endurance and the reach of ocean-observing devices, first developed by Teledyne founder, the late Doug Webb, during his early career at WHOI. It's designed to remain at sea for months at a time, coming out of the water only occasionally for maintenance and traveling more than 40,000 miles through some of the most remote, least surveyed parts of the world's oceans. This is truly a historic mission, said Brian McGuire, Chief Operating Officer at Teledyne Marine, which has facilities in North Falmouth. It will pave the way for a future where a global fleet autonomous underwater gliders continuously gather data from the oceans. A launch celebration on October 10th at the WHOI dock marked the ceremonial send-off before Red Wing was loaded aboard the Smelts ocean researcher boat and taken to sea south of the islands. Project participants said the mission would redefine what's possible in ocean data collection and broaden understanding of the global ocean, pushing the limits of ocean robotics. Red Wing is the first in a new line called Slocum Sentinel gliders, a larger, more energy-dense version of the standard probes already used in the ocean research. The glider moves by changing its buoyancy, causing it to rise and sink through the water in a slow, vertical zigzag pattern that conserves its energy and allows it to dive as deep as 1,000 meters, explained Shay Quinn, Teledyne Glider Product Line Manager. Instead of using continuous propulsion, the glider operates an internal pump only at the top and bottom of its dive, he said. Every 8 to 12 hours it surfaces to transmit data and receive instructions via satellite. What the Sentinel gliders enable is ultra-long endurance missions, in the scale of months and years, to allow for oceanographic data gathering in ways that were previously not possible, he said. During the voyage, the project team will attempt incredibly long legs, up to about 9,000 miles at a time, without any human intervention, he said. WHOI Chief Innovation Officer Leslie Ann McGee emphasized the significance of that long-term capability, which could transform how ocean data is collected, particularly in remote regions where ship time is limited by expense or danger. One of the challenges our engineers have had to overcome is endurance. How long can you put it in the water and how long can it go for, she said. Sampling the unseen. Red Wing will begin with a cruise on the Gulf Stream towards Europe, turn south to the Canary Islands, and down to South Africa, then through the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, one of the most powerful ocean systems on Earth. From there, it will glide by the Falkland Islands in the South Atlantic and head back north, past Brazil and the Caribbean, to its starting point. Equipped with special sensors, it will collect data about the ocean temperature, salinity, and depth, which will help scientists improve forecasts for hurricanes, track heat content in the ocean, and refine climate models. Red Wing will be sampling the ocean water column in remote, severely under-sampled areas, Quinn said. The collected data, which will be transmitted to NOAA's Integrated Ocean Observing System and available to researchers around the world, will not just help to provide near real-time information about the current state of the oceans, but may help to correct the international ocean models that are used for weather forecasting and other insights, Quinn said. A mission about more than data. While science is central, Red Wing's mission is also a testing ground for the new models of collaboration and education in ocean science. More than 50 Rutgers undergraduates were involved in developing the project and will help monitor the mission in real time. As the glider's journeys, classrooms in other countries will join virtual sessions, track its progress, and exchange observations. We live on an ocean planet, said Oscar Schofield, one of the mission's scientific leads at Rutgers. All weather and climate are regulated by the ocean. This mission will give us another tool we need to achieve real understanding. McGee said that collaborative education approach was one reason WHOI jumped on board. We were particularly drawn to this effort at Rutgers University because they really were focusing on training the next workforce of scientists and engineers, she said. Experiences like this journey with Red Wing can give students the ability to take those risks and understand that you learn a lot by your failures and a lot by your challenges, just as much as you do by your successes. She also pointed out the broader significance of the project. It might open up a lot of new science questions about how and where we collect information, she said. The ocean ahead. The name Red Wing stands for Research and Education Doug Webb International Glider, honoring Webb, who invented the original Slocum glider. The Red Wing mission is guided by his motto, work hard, have fun, and change the world. The glider faces some of the world's most challenging ocean conditions, dodging fishing gear and cargo traffic along the way. It won't be easy and there will likely be some difficulties along the way, Quinn admitted. But that is what makes this challenge so exciting. For now, Red Wing is out of sight, gliding silently beneath the surface, but the data it sends back will help bring the remote ocean a lot closer to home. Okay, I've reached the end of our reading for today. If you know someone who could benefit from our service, or you're interested in either volunteering or donating to our nonprofit to keep us on the air, please call 508-539-2030 or visit our website audiblelocalledger.org. You can now listen to us on smart speakers like Amazon Echo Dot and Google Home. Just say smart speaker. Play radio station Audible Local Ledger on TuneIn and you'll have a clear static-free connection to our readings. As always, thank you for listening to our continued support. Thank you for listening and all of your continued support. This is Grace